Alright, so I'm going to be showing how to open up and disassemble this Lenovo IdeaPad 310-15abr. So we're going to be using a PH1 or JS1 screwdriver, and we're going to be removing all the screws from the bottom. You want to keep the screws in order because they can be different size, shape, and lengths. The way I do that, flat side down like this on my desk in the pattern I remove them. So you got like 4 like this. You can kind of do this pattern sometimes if they're in a row. I'll just put them in that same row, and yeah. If you mix them up, again, there's risk that you can damage your computer because sometimes these screws are going to be different size, shape, and lengths. So I don't like putting them in like containers and things like that. I like to keep them organized. Alright, if this video helps you out, make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. If it helps you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. Okay, so we got these two out here. It's kind of all spaced, kind of weird, so hopefully you can just keep track of them. These screws actually, while taking them out, they look the same. But either way, it's always a good idea to try and keep them all in order, okay? And then we're going to get the 4 out from down here. Alright, if this video helps you out, make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. If it helps you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. Alright, so we got all of those out. Let's go ahead and pop this cover off. If you're just replacing the hard drive or upgrading to an SSD, you only need to take out that one screw. Okay, and then you can go ahead and pop this cover off. We're going to set that aside. What we're doing here is we're going to be upgrading the battery, if I didn't already mention that. Alright, so then there's a little tab that sticks under here. Let me see if I can zoom in to show this. Okay, so to get this out, what you have to do is you have to push this slightly so that the tab that's hiding under there can come out, and then you lift it slightly, just a little. You don't want to lift it too high or you can break the connector off, and then you kind of just wiggle and pull this back. All right, just like that, and there we go. That's the 2.5-inch SATA hard drive, and this plastic bracket, you kind of just wiggle and pop this off, and then you can pop this onto a new hard drive. So as you can see, you just kind of wiggle and pop this thing out just like this, and then you can go ahead and put this onto an SSD. Anyways, I'm going to leave this as is because they're not replacing the hard drive, they just wanted to replace the battery, though I would highly recommend upgrading these hard drives to an SSD. Alright, we're going to pop off this other cover here, and the RAM should be under there. Okay, so get that, kind of wiggle it around, there we go. I'm going to have to clean this. As you can see, there's a lot of dust. CPU is soldered to the motherboard. I don't know why they give access to this, if that helps it cool it down or something. You have the wireless card here, keyboard connector here. There's a little flip latch to pop that out. There's this connector here, which is probably for the fan, but I don't know because I can't see. And another small connector here. We'll see if we have to take all this stuff out. We might have to. There's a warranty sticker there that we're going to have to scrape up. Okay, let's go ahead and check the RAM here. I don't know, they put this plastic and foil stuff on top of it, so we're gonna have to peel this up out of the way. Alright, then we can pull these two tabs away from the RAM. It pops up at an angle like that, and you can pull it out. It looks like one stick is soldered to the motherboard, so you can only upgrade this stick, and this is an 8 gig PC4 2400T. Alright, so if you wanted, you can get another PC4 2400T 16 gig and put that. Though if it's 16 gigs of RAM already, then you have 2 matching sticks. That's what's recommended. I wouldn't put a 16 with the integrated if it's also an 8 gig, because then you'll end up with not as good performance since the memory sticks don't match. You can try it though if you want. Alright, anyways, there's screws hidden inside here, so we're gonna have to remove this. And we're going to have to remove that. Let me see if I can scrape this thing up, or it's just going to shred to bits. It's probably going to just shred to bits. I'll try with the plastic razor blade here. And yeah, that's just going to shred to bits. Okay, we're just going to poke a hole through it then, just like that. And I'll undo that screw. And it's kind of getting stuck because of that, so let's use a magnet to get it out. There we go. Okay, again, keep all the screws in order. Okay, next thing we're going to do, we might have to actually remove the keyboard. Hopefully I'm getting everything in view, guys. All right, let's zoom out a bit. We're going to take the CD drive out, so I'm going to kind of just wiggle my way on there and pull it. I just use my fingernail to do that. If you can't do that, you can also use a needle to push through this hole here. It'll pop the CD tray out. You can pull it as far as it goes and then grab the side of the extended portion and pull that out. Anyways, we'll set that aside for now. There's no screws hidden under there, so well, let's take this USB out as well. Okay, let's go ahead and carefully open up the screen. You want to be very careful because now there's less screws helping hold the hinges over there, or you can leave the screws in. Okay, it looks like actually this keyboard is part of the top bezel, so we probably don't need to remove that. Let's go ahead and turn this over. All right, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my fingernails in this gap here, the seam between the trackpad and the bottom cover, or the palm rest assembly. Okay, so I'll get my fingernails in there, and then what I'll do is I push on the back with my thumbs and pull with my fingers, just like that. You can hear it pops out, and we're just going to go all the way around. Okay, I'm going to actually carefully close this since we didn't have to open it. Oh, I did miss one screw. Make sure you don't forget there's one screw here as well. Okay, so we got that. All right, now that we got those out, we're going to go ahead and work our way around this. Just like that. Okay, and we're going to go over here and work our way around here. Same thing, just pushing with your thumbs down and pulling with your fingernails on the sides. If you don't have fingernails, you can use plastic pry tools or whatever works for you, but this works best for me. Okay, and we're just going all the way around. I'm not sure if it lifts out from the top first. They did damage this charge port here. Hopefully that's not the reason why their battery's not charging. It just looks like the plastic that's damaged, not the charge port itself. Okay, I did hear like rattling plastic inside, so I don't know, we'll find out. Alright, so this one is not wanting to come out that way, so let's see if we can lift it out keyboard side up. So what we're going to do, again, carefully open the screen. Alright. And let me move some stuff out of the way. So here you can see this is popping out. Let me get the CD drive out of the way so I can move this closer. Okay, so we got this popping out. We're going to kind of work our way back down the side. Again, I'm just doing the same thing as I was before. And okay, so yeah, the keyboard is coming out. But one thing, because we are removing the keyboard, we are going to have to flip this latch up here. All right. And this smaller latch over here up as well. These cables, the antennas are kind of in the way, but flip that latch up as well. Then you can go ahead and pull these cables out. I should probably zoom in to show you guys this, huh? Okay, so I flipped those plastic latches up. Now we can actually pull these cables out, but you do want to be very careful because these cables, the way they're angled makes them hard to remove. You do have to lift it slightly to get this the blue little plastic wings up and out. So we're gonna lift this slightly and pull it back. So just like this, we got one side. Okay, it keeps wanting to go back in, so this is gonna be a little tough. So you're gonna have to lift it and then push it out like that. Okay, and it's trying to get itself back reseated. We're gonna lift this side up and then same thing, push that out. Okay, I guess we'll just try and get both. There we go. All right, so you need to get something inside. I just use this tool to kind of lift up in there. And then we're going to get this one out. This is likely the trackpad cable. If you want, you can probably use some tweezers or something to get this out. But just get in there. Okay. Grab that blue tab if you can. There we go. And then you can probably wiggle and pull this out. There we go. All right, so we got those two out. Now we should be able to get the keyboard out. Let's zoom out here. Okay, so we have to thread these cables through here, so be careful. You want to slowly drop this down. You can see this is coming away, and there we go. All right, so let's go ahead and flip this over. Slowly, again, carefully open up the screen a bit more. Okay, there we go. And now let's go ahead and see if we can lift this out. You want to carefully do that in case anything's caught. All right, so we got that out. You can see it's pretty dusty. Here you can see how the touchpad buttons are a separate piece, and then you got this for the actual trackpad. Okay, this is likely glued into place. I don't know, there might be screws under, but I don't want to tear it all apart and damage it. Let's see, I'll see if I can lightly... No, it's stuck together. I don't want to rip it and then accidentally damage something. Okay, so we're going to set that aside. The keyboard, if you're replacing the bare keyboard, this is all held in with melted plastic. Keep that in mind. That's going to be a real pain. So if you're replacing the keyboard, it's best to get this whole assembly like this. All right? Unless the price difference is a huge amount that it makes it not worth it. Oh, man. Okay, so the battery, they hide it underneath the motherboard. That's not nice. Okay, let's zoom in a bit. I think I undercharged this customer. Okay. Anyways, let's zoom out again. All right. There we go. So we got the battery here. We got all these connectors. It's best to remove the battery first. So we're going to grab this connector and kind of just wiggle it side to side as we pull it. Let me see if I can get a better view. There's too much stuff on my desk in the way, but let's see. Okay. So kind of just wiggle this, as you can see, and eventually it pops out. So there we go, we got that battery out. Hopefully the other battery we got is correct. After removing the battery connector, we're gonna go up to the top left corner here. I think this is the power button. We're gonna press and hold that for 15 seconds to drain any residual power. This will make it safer to work on and will reduce the risk of damage. I get people that ask me if that's necessary, and I mean, there's no parts that are necessary. You don't have to remove the screws, you can just break all the plastic, but if you want to be careful and make sure everything's done right, hold the power button, and that's mainly for the LCD LVDS connector here. A lot of times if you don't do that, there's a good chance that you're going to end up shorting out this. There'll be like a spark and it will fry it. All right, we're going to carefully close this up again. I noticed because we're going to have to take the whole motherboard out. Let's go ahead. We're going to have to disconnect all this other stuff. So wireless antennas, we're going to lift these up by the tails, just go underneath and pull it straight up. And if you're wondering, the gray one is going to this white arrow and the black cable is going to the black arrow. It's not always the same on laptops. Sometimes they mix them around, so keep that in mind. All right, we're going to unthread the wires from here so that they're underneath the plastic, because we're likely going to have to actually, these probably go into the screen. We're not going to remove the screen, so we probably don't have to remove that. And the fan one here, okay, if you can go from the sides of the plastic connector, which usually is what I try to do with my fingernails, and then we kind of just wiggle the connector. All right, and there you go, it pops out just like that. If you can't, you can try pulling from the cables, but it's more fragile that way and there's more risk of damage, so I try to avoid doing it that way. Okay, we're gonna now thread this cable out from this plastic hook. We don't want it to be stuck on there when we try and pull the thing out. Okay, so we want to get that cable underneath there. There we go. And then it goes around, and then we can get that out as well. Okay, actually, I don't know if the fan is attached to this or if it's... Okay, anyways, we got the... I'm pretty sure that's the fan cable. And I guess just to be safe, we're going to unroute this as well so we don't have to go back underneath. All right, if it gets to that point. Okay, so let's go ahead and carefully open this up again. Zoom out. Okay, carefully, slowly open this up again. All right, now that we have this open, yeah, I think the fan might actually be attached to this, so we might not have had to remove all that. Anyways, again, hopefully you held the power button 15 seconds after disconnecting the battery, and then we can go ahead and flip this latch up. Then we can go ahead and get this cable out. There might be some adhesive on it, so you want to be careful. Okay, yeah, there is adhesive on it. You don't want to fold this cable too much, so try and keep it flat. I pull it this way as I kind of peel up, and then I move closer, and then as I keep getting part of it peeled up, I kind of just move closer down the cable and slowly keep peeling it. And there we go. I'm going to move that aside out of the way. Okay, we're going to now disconnect a bunch of other cables here. So all these cables are very similar. Flip that latch, pull that out, flip this latch, pull this out, flip this latch, pull this out. There's the BIOS, CMOS, real-time clock, RTC battery, whatever you want to call it there, if you're wondering. All right, the speaker, same thing. Use my fingernails, wiggle that, and there we go. Excuse me. These speakers you can actually pull up. There's just little rubber things holding it in place. Okay, and then let's see, we got some screws here. So there's one screw up here. You're going to want to remember where these screws came from. There's a little white arrow pointing there, so you can see where it came from. Or, I mean, because you can watch my video, then you have that. Then you got one screw over here. Okay. And then there's two screws up here where the charge port is. So get those out. All right, so they were really making sure the charge port didn't get shoved in or something. Okay, so we got all those screws out. Let's zoom out a bit more. Let's see if we can now take out the motherboard. I don't know if I don't see any screws I missed. Okay, so you can see we can lift this. So yeah, we didn't have to unthread the fan cable or the wireless antennas. And there we go. Here's the motherboard. If you're curious, there's a motherboard model number here. All right, CG516 NMA741 revision 1. Okay, so here you can see the other side of the motherboard. They actually have that same motherboard model number there. And you can see the wireless card is still right there. And here's the other side of the charge port, how it's held in place. I am going to clean this up outside because it is dusty there. So I'm going to have to take this out, clean it up, take this out, clean it up. In fact, let me actually take the fan out completely because that bottom grate part there was pretty dusty. Okay. So might as well, since we already unrouted the cable. And there we go. So we have the fan as well. Is there a fan model number here? There is. Let's see if I can get a good angle to make it readable. There you go. DFS 561405 PL0T. I think that's it. All right, so I'm going to clean the dust out of here. Basically, I'm just going to use a toothbrush, brush it, use an electric air blower to blow all the loose dust away. And yeah, then we're going to come back, replace the battery, put everything back together, and then we're going to plug it in and hopefully it charges. All right, I'll see you guys in a bit. All right, so I'm back. Let's go ahead and swap out the battery and reassemble this. As you can see, the fan is a lot cleaner now. Right, that grate is all cleaned up, and this is all cleaned up. And now let's go ahead and get the battery. So we're going to set the motherboard off to the side here. All right. Oh, that reminds me, I'm going to have to clean the keyboard side as well. I'll do that in a bit. Let's go ahead and get the battery in. So the battery, as you can see, it's this aftermarket. But the battery model number is here, 15C2PB5. I'll actually bring that closer so you can get a good view. But let's go ahead and remove the screws first. Right, looks like there's two more screws holding this in place. So we'll remove those two. Right, once we remove those screws, hopefully we can just pop this up. Okay, and yes, we can. The speaker cable's a little bit in the way, and these cables, be careful with that. All right, so you can see the old battery, 3,910 milliamp hours, and there's the model number 15C2PB5. All right, and that's what it looks like. All right, so we're going to set that aside. We're going to grab the replacement one. You do want to make sure that you plug your battery back in the same direction. So as you noticed, when you see this, the red cables are going that way, the black cables are going that way. You don't want to accidentally plug this in upside down. As you can see on the bottom side, it has the pins. Come on, focus here. You can see, there you go. You can see the pins kind of showing. Why is it not? There you go. You can see the pins showing through the connector. So you want to make sure that the side with all the solid plastic is on top. And that's not, oops, it's always different on different models. It's not always the same. So keep that in mind. All right. So there we go. All right. Sometimes they'll have the metal pins facing up. Sometimes they won't. So yeah, we're going to have to turn it that way. And this battery actually shows 4,920 milliamp hours, so it should technically last longer. Actually, depending on the voltage or whatever. Oh, that's the minimum. And then the actual is 55 milliamp hours. All right, so let's get this battery into place. Just get all these cables back on top. Get this lined up. All right, make sure that this goes underneath the speaker cable. And let's get these screws back in. All right, so we'll get that in. All right, get that in. There we go. Let's go ahead and put the fan back in. All right, make sure you put it the right way. Don't put that upside down. Alright, and we're going to get this cable, or sorry, the screw back in as well. Okay. If you want, you can go ahead now and tuck this cable slightly back underneath this piece. Since it's already over here, might as well. And then this side, it's going to be more difficult, so we're going to do this once we flip the computer back over. Alright. We can get this tucked back in as well. Might as well, since we have it open. It's a little bit easier, I think. There we go. Push these cables back in and around. Okay. Next thing, we're going to put the motherboard back in, of course. So make sure to flip it back the right direction. Okay. Make sure to get all these ports in first. So we're putting it at this angle like that. Make sure all these ports will go into the right spots. And slowly lower it down. Make sure these cables end up back on top. Okay, so lift those back out. And lift this back out. There we go. Slowly wiggle it into place. Alright, there we go. Now let's go ahead and get all these screws back in. Got the charge port screws. It helps to kind of hold the charge port more towards the outside, so I'm using my finger on the edge of the board here to push it out towards the edge to make sure that the charge port is as close to the plastic shell as possible. You don't want it to be slightly inside and then the plug won't reach far enough. Okay, or the charger. Go. Let's get this screw in. Alright, yeah, this wasn't too bad, and then we'll get this screw in. There we go. Alright, make sure this latches up. Let's zoom in a bit if we can. And get this cable back in. Line that up. Get that into place and flip that latch down and then push it into place. There we go. Next, we're going to go over here and plug back in the optical disk drive. Make sure the latch is up, of course. Then we're going to get this and guide it back into place. If you want, you can use the blue plastic tab to help, but usually I just like to hold it by the sides. If you do that, you want to be gentle. You don't want to like pinch it too hard. Okay. Then we're going to go ahead and do the two connectors down here. We got this for the two USB ports. And yes, those USB ports are replaceable. So if for some reason you break it, you can get a replacement USB port board. All right. Anyways, let's pop that in. And we got that, and we're going to get this for the hard drive. Okay. Get that all lined up. And if this cable's not in right, you're not going to be able to boot your computer because it's not going to detect your hard drive. Okay, so that's very important. Let's zoom out again because I'm running out of room to kind of move this over to show you. Alright, so let's plug in the speaker connector. They actually mark it with a little dot, and this one you can see the pins exposed on top, face up. Pinch that back into place. Okay, I like to squeeze both sides so you don't accidentally tear the connector off the board. Then we got this one, and of course, again, if you're not sure, you don't remember, you want to check with the old battery and then make sure you get it the right way, because if you plug it in the wrong way, you can fry your entire motherboard. Okay, so we're going to get the battery connector. Make sure it goes in straight. You don't want to put it in crooked. And then pinch from the middle, just like that, and then pinch both sides at the same time. And there we go. We got the battery reconnected. I'm going to clean the keyboard real quick, then I'll be back. We're going to reassemble this. All right, see you guys in a bit. All right, so I'm back. We are going to have to thread the keyboard and trackpad cables through, so that might be a little bit tricky. What we're going to do, we're going to lift it up, raise it to lay on the back of the screen, okay? And then we're going to have the thing all lined up. You want to be careful not to get that caught on anything and damage it. All right, so what you want to do, if you can from the inside, it's really hard to see, but you can use something to kind of help push these cables down into place. Oh, sorry, I can't even get this in view of the camera. Okay, so what you're going to want to do, you can get something like a chopstick or whatever, and then push that down. Okay, and that way you can kind of push it past where the fan is. This can be a little tricky. I don't know if there's another way. Maybe I can do this by just reaching my hand in there. Oh yeah, you can. Okay, so you can actually just reach your hand in there and basically get that It's hard to do this where you guys can see, but I mean, you get the idea. We're just trying to thread those cables back through behind where the fan and everything is. Okay, so sorry if you can't see this, but I have to do what I gotta do. I gotta do what I gotta do. Okay, we're gonna pull this cable through. Okay, that didn't work. It went back underneath, so I gotta get on again and push that back down. I don't like this design. All right, so the keyboard cable is kind of sticking out. We're gonna have to kind of help persuade it to come out completely. Man, this is somewhat of a pain here because the wrinkles in it make it so much more difficult. So as you're closing it, you still have to kind of keep guiding it, and there we go. All right, then we're gonna grab this one. So main one is you want to focus on is the keyboard cable, because this one is shorter and easier to get out. All right, now that we've got that, let's go ahead and clip this all back. Oops. Yeah, you don't need to see that far. So we're gonna just clip this back all around. Okay, and for the CD part, you do want to pinch the two layers together. Okay, make sure you go around the back as well. Okay, now that we got that, we're going to slowly, carefully close this. Okay, flip this back over and click all of that into place. Here's some rattling in here. I don't know where that sound is coming from. I mean, it's been rattling, so I don't know. I mean, I took the whole thing apart and blew it out, so anyways. Now we got this cable. We're going to have to kind of route this back underneath here. Okay, technically you don't have to, but it's nicer to have it routed the way it was before. So let's, come on, push that back under. Guess we'll have to use some tools to do this. Push that back under there. Okay. Wait, is that how it was? Alright. There we go. Alright, then we're going to have to get this cable back into place. And also make sure you get these cables the right way as well. Let me see if I can zoom in so you can kind of see. So this one, you can see the flat sides here, and that's pointing towards me. So we're going to push that down, click that into place. Good. We're going to wrap that cable around. Okay, keyboard cable. This is going to be tricky. Let's see how we can do this. Make sure that latches up. Okay, we're going to have to kind of tilt this forward, so we're gonna have to like slightly unbend it for now, but tilt it forward like this. Okay, and get that in. I'm actually looking at it from the wrong angle. Let me flip it over this way so it's easier for me to see. I'm gonna have to take it back out. Oh, there we go. Okay, after I lifted it, you can see it went back into place. Then you can flip that latch down. Okay, and then we got the trackpad cable here. We'll grab this tab, pull it back, get that into place, line it up, slide it back in, and then use your finger and just slide that latch back down. Okay, wireless antennas, flipping this back over. Okay, black wire first here. All right, you want to line it up. The way you know it's lined up is you can see it gets caught on there, so if I try and move it, it's staying, and then you can go ahead and push it down. That's very important because these cables or the connectors are really fragile, and if you mess it up, your wireless isn't going to work, or your Bluetooth or anything. All right, get that lined up and click that in. There we go. All right, next thing we got is the hard drive here. Let's zoom back out a little bit more. Okay, so get that lined up slightly at an angle, push that into place. Once you get that in, drop it down and click that in. All right. Oops, we can now go ahead and put this bottom cover back on. Just line that up. Just like this. All right, and then work your way up the sides. Make sure to click all of the edges in. It helps to kind of help pull this up, and then you push it down so that way it kind of curls it in that way. Okay, there we go. All right. So next we're going to put these screws back in so we don't forget because they're underneath the cover. So we'll get the screw in here. Okay, we have the one that was with the warranty sticker. We're going to get that one in there. Okay. And then we had the one up here. We'll get that in as well. Okay, so we got all of that. Let's go ahead and get that bottom cover. It's a little dusty, so let me clean that off real quick. Okay. All right, let's get this cover back on. So similar to the other one, let's zoom out a bit more. All right, I'm gonna start with this side, and then we're gonna, same thing, kind of help hold this up. You might have to kind of align, like wiggle it around a little, because these clips are a little bit tough, and yeah. All right, so we'll get this in. This clip is harder to get, so we'll try and get, actually, should we get the bottom clips in first? Okay, so maybe we'll do the bottom clips in first, and then let's see. Okay, yeah, then you hold up the middle here, right? And you can push those in, and there we go. Oh, this one's a little not going. There we go. There we go. All right, so next we got the optical disk drive. Very simple. Just take the drive, take it back, slot it back in. There we go. If it doesn't go in, if it's like caught, you can flip the computer over. Sometimes it helps with the weight going the opposite direction, and then you can push it down that way. All right, let's go ahead now and get all these screws back in, and that's pretty much all there is to this. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. If it did, again, make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. If it helped you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. These are customer computers, so keep that in mind. By the time you see this video, I likely won't have it anymore, but I'll see if I can help. If it's something, a lot of times, like some questions, I won't know the answer, so basically I'll be Googling. So some stuff I encourage people to kind of look up, and then if it's not in my video, post it there so other people can know that information too. Okay, my main focus and expertise is just completely taking things apart. I don't know the specs, I don't know what type of processors in here, I don't know what type of RAM until I actually open it up and check it. So all that kind of stuff, it's I kind of try and mention everything I know about it, what I'm doing. So yeah, anyways, let's go ahead and get all these screws back in. Then we're gonna go ahead and plug it in and see if it charges. They said it runs on the charger, but it doesn't charge the battery. So, oh, also don't forget the little USBs if people put those in there, of course. All right, and there's still some dust on the back here. Let me see if I can clean that off, but it's on the back of the grate, so it's not really blocking the air vent. But might as well clean it up if I can. Okay, it's not all coming out, but it's a lot better. Okay, there we go. All right, let's flip this thing over. Let's see if we got power. I'm gonna see if it'll turn on without plugging it in first, just to see what we got. And it is turning on. I hear it. All right. You see the screen turning on and off. There we go. And we got the Lenovo. It's a little bit scary. I was worried it wasn't going to boot, but all right, it's starting up. The little circles are spinning. I'm going to move this back just in case it shows the username. And I'm going to go ahead and get this plug. And I'm going to plug this in and see. It looks like this charger might be a replacement charger. Maybe they got a not as powerful charger if that's what's going on. I don't know. But this looks like a new charger. Let's plug this in. Yeah, there's something else wrong here because their charge light here isn't coming up. Actually. Oh, it is. It's just very faint. Okay. Okay, I guess we'll wait for this to boot up and we'll see. But anyways, that's pretty much all there is to it. If you do end up having to replace the charge port, it is soldered into the motherboard. So if you don't know how to solder, then you're probably not going to be able to replace that. If you do know how to solder, then you probably don't need to ask me how to remove it. Anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. This computer's so slow because it's a hard drive. Again, I highly recommend SSDs. And yeah, all right, see you on the next one. Let's drop this. Bye.